The Portal2Cast.
Let the games begin.
In 3, 2...
Welcome to the Portal2Cast, the only show designed to make you a better builder. Although it's a week late, today is Monday Madness, where we submit a challenge to the community, and the community rises to that challenge. I apologize for the delay. My wife and I moved into a new house, and I decided to paint my office portalable. This week's challenge was called Limited Links, in which we challenged mappers to create a Portal 2 puzzle using no more than 5 total links. These links could be used in any combination. You could attach 5 different buttons to the exit, or have 5 different buttons do 5 different things. As usual, submissions were really good. Creating this is very difficult, so there were a number of contenders for the number 3 and number 2 positions. So I very nearly had about 9 ties for third place. At least that's what you should tell yourself if you didn't make the top 3. Our third place puzzle is not my favorite, but it uses some mechanics in interesting ways, and it's probably one of the most creative uses of conversion gel I've ever seen, because it's really difficult to use the conversion gel to cheese the puzzle. I give you Funnel Conversion by Camerson1313. Now let's talk for a minute about what's wrong with this map. In the first place, it's not very well lit, and because of that, it had a very outside shot at making it into my number 3 spot, and it was only my enjoyment of the mechanic that saved it. Camerson has actually used non-mandatory observation windows to supply a lot of the lighting. I did that myself in a lot of early puzzles and judged it insufficient for lighting puzzles. This chamber is just enormous, not even by amateur Portal 2 mapper standards, but certainly by the standards of this show, and it doesn't need to be this large. And so now we come to the puzzle itself, and this button does a variety of things. One button reverses that excursion funnel, reverses the other excursion funnel. It pops open this angled panel, and it flips that flip panel up and down. When I beat this puzzle, I found no use for this flip panel. We have a button which crosses up and around and will generate us a cube there, although we do already have the cube. We don't have to get across the pit first. So what I like about this puzzle is that you have conversion gel, but you can't really use it. It passes through this grate and into water below. So you can't portal the surface below it, which means you can't exit portal the conversion gel anywhere you want in the map. It is possible with a little bit of patience to paint all over the place, but it does take patience. One thing I recommend, Camerson, is to turn off splash for your gel if you want to actually fine-tune it just a little bit more. Another thing is, I was a bit frustrated that you chose the bomb mechanic for your gel, because the bomb mechanic means only one bomb is out at a time rather than a steady stream. And probably you did that to help guard against cheesing, but allowing a stream of gel would be an excellent anti-frustration feature. So the way to get our conversion gel is just to snag it in this reverse excursion funnel. And that might be what that panel is for, I'm not sure. What I actually typically did was just stepped into the fizzler here so I could drop my conversion gel out. Now one thing this bomb does, like I'm saying, this is actually a little bit tedious to wait for it to go wherever you're going with it. Now for my ease of use, I made sure that when I did this puzzle, I converted part of the floor and part of the ceiling, and you'll see why I did that. Of course, the first little mystery is what's up here, if you can tell. It's a ding against transparency that you sort of have to climb up here to see this, but it's fairly apparent. You get this cube, and now you have the option of opening that sideways panel without standing on the button, which means you can now fling into later parts of the puzzle. So the reason I did this thing in the ceiling, and this may be finding a workaround or it may be the intended solution, I don't know, but the obvious method of flinging is sort of excursion funneling yourself up, and then you would fling across by falling into your fling. But what I found much easier is to portal the ceiling with my reverse excursion funnel, and that allowed me to climb even though I can keep the cube on the button. So now let me just show you what's back here. And again, That hallway is very long for no reason. It only tempts the player to go back there and discover there's nothing back there. If you hit this button, it resummons your cube, which has the added effect of turning off these reversed excursion funnels, and that becomes useful, as we'll see later. And over here you have this sort of impossible looking construction where you have a laser grill blocking the exit and a water pit. So even if you excursion funnel across, you're going to die in the lasers. Fortunately, we do have an easy way back. And I believe you're actually meant to be able to jump into the funnel from there. I'm not sure it's required for the solution, but if you intended it for the solution, you should fine-tune it and make it even easier. If it's not intended for the solution, then just don't even bother giving the player that hint. Just go ahead and make portable walls on the floor level so that they can just easily walk back. So here comes the part that for me was very frustrating, because it does turn out to be a little bit of execution, and maybe that's because I'm doing it wrong. But what you'll find is that you can excursion funnel this guy and fling, and I missed. And that's just a minor example there. That's actually the easy part. I'll show you what I mean when it gets a little bit harder. And each time you gotta wait for that guy to traverse the whole room and go back up. You can fling him into there, and then you have to fling yourself. Okay, I did this differently before. Okay, now I actually see a reason why that hallway is so freaking long. But it still involves something of a waiting game. That's probably the intended solution, and what I did the other time wasn't intended. What I actually did a combo fling where I and the bubble of conversion gel both came out at the same time. And then you have to do it again. I won't bother going through it all. You've seen how it works. But if you just reverse the thing and then destroy your cube, this excursion funnel goes back to blue and becomes a pushing funnel. And so when you have your blob of conversion gel in the funnel and it's going along, then you can push it out of this funnel exit here, and now you have portals on both sides of the room. All in all, I've offered a lot of criticism for this puzzle, but I really enjoyed it because at first glance it seems very easy. You've got 2 excursion funnels, you've got 1 button that does almost everything in the puzzle. When was the last time you encountered a puzzle with conversion gel that actually made you think? This was really cool because I had to methodically go through step by step and figure out the process because I enjoyed it every step that I did it. Thank you, Camerson1313, for mapping this. I really enjoyed it. Our next puzzle entry uses blue and orange gel. It involves a running jump, but not the way you initially want to attempt it. I would like to congratulate Eunice Jet for the hurdle in 2nd place. So our first task is simple. We're going to get that cube across the way. I exit portal the wrong thing, but nice job giving an anti-frustration feature to the player by providing a portal wall in case they make that mistake. And when I first played this, I was very confused. For one reason, no fault of Eunice Jet's, but that button was permanent. When I removed the cube from the button, that panel that flipped up stayed up. The use for that flap is obvious. It gives you blue gel. This button gives you a light bridge. And I want to show you something. This light bridge goes, the most obvious use, and it took me a while actually to find that portable thing, but that's actually because I ignored this button for a while. I was paying attention to those 2 over there. That light bridge goes straight through the grate and presumably to the exit, which we can't see yet. And our 3rd button does the most useful thing at all and the most useless. It opens those 2 panels there. I'll do it again so you can see it. So they're closed, and we drop the button, and they open. One transparency thing here to have that observation window at the far end, but it's confusing as a player because at that distance, and especially halfway through the grate, it just barely looks like it might be a portable wall. Another ding against the transparency is that I didn't realize there's another alcove up there. Any of my viewers just watching this, if you haven't played this puzzle, you probably didn't even see that until right now. So getting up there is actually much easier than I made it the first time. First, because you can just see it, and second, because this panel goes straight out there. You're up here, you can see that there's another cube up there. One trick that I've used to make that more apparent is to actually make this entire bank glass. You can make the top glass, and you can make this wall facing me right here glass. So the solution here, of course, is just to go ahead and make a portal at both ends. The glass actually would have the added benefit of being an anti-frustration feature because players wouldn't accidentally bounce back because the glass won't hold gel. For the longest time, I thought this puzzle was unsolvable because I was sure that I understood the solution and I was sure that I needed 2 cubes to do it. And I stuck with it, and it actually wasn't until I looked at the blueprint in the puzzle preview that actually showed me that there was another room up there. Don't hide things from your players, please. I'm going to get on the permanent part of the light bridge now that I have 2 cubes, one for the light bridge and one to open the gate there. And I'm going to gel the bridge. And now let's make an exit for our bridge. It's easy enough just to jump onto the bridge and that was actually quite dangerous because I fell in the crack below the light bridge. I believe blue is currently my exit for the light bridge portal, but you're meant to land on the light bridge. It's fairly easy to do so. I just came flying off at an angle. And then this last little touch, just for the sake of artistry. I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you for mapping, Unisjet. Our last puzzle is one that is very complex with a limited space, a limited number of elements. Due to time constraints, I was not able to solve this. I can see what direction the solution is going, which is why I'm so impressed with this, and I'm willing to award it first place. I give you 4 Connections by Donderbus. So this is a little chamber, and it's very well lit. There is a portable wall up there that you can see, but you cannot portal it. This button activates a laser emitter, which immediately hits an angled panel. That's going to add to your challenge as you try to position this laser, because anywhere you want to put it, it's going to have to come out at an angle. So you can play with angles that will actually hit the other relay, and I can show you what that does. The other relay, as you can see, connects over to this second laser emitter. So what use is that? That's very interesting. I didn't tell you what the first one did. If you'll look again, I'm going to reposition that portal. Watch over there. That activates the elevator from that first relay. There's a cube button. The cube button activates the exit, and you're done. That's all there is to it. So what do you even need to say about this puzzle? There's not much to say. The signage is relatively clear. Because the ant lines crossed, I would have converted 1 to signage instead of ant lines. It's a simple room with very little in it, and yet you can spend hours on this puzzle. That's what I like about it. And you're going to have to think with portals to even attempt it. So let me show you how far I got. The thing I did was try to find positions for using 2 portals. I can actually see both relays. Because what you want to do in essence is simple. It's simple when you figure it out. It's not simple when you're trying this, which is what I love about Portal 2. This laser emitter can actually be made permanent as long as you activate that relay with it. Now, see what happened? The timer went off, but that laser stayed on. The reason is because that laser is now sustaining itself. The cube pointed at this relay turns on the laser emitter. So you have a perpetual motion machine of sorts, but it's one that you have to create through the use of portals. So now you're free to explore other solutions with the room where you want to activate that elevator. Trick is, and I know the answer. The answer is you want to be able to activate that button and step on the elevator. And this portal wall here is quite close. That one is also quite close, but it's less useful since you're not going to be able to activate either the relays from it. So you want a way where you can, with the swap of a single portal set, activate both emitters and step on the elevator at the same time. I haven't solved it yet, and hopefully there's no shame in that, but it is a very complex puzzle with a limited number of elements, and that, I think, is the genius of it. And that's exactly what I'm looking for when I play Portal 2. We like the thinking game, and this puzzle right here clearly is a thinking game, and that's why I'm happy to award it first place. I want to thank you for watching. I apologize that this was a week late, and I want to thank everyone as always for mapping. I really enjoyed playing these, so thank you as always.